Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Mm-hmm.
Good.
Yeah.
Good evening. I'd like to open the meeting, and we'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good evening. We'll open up with our first item is the acceptance of our prior meeting minutes dated May the 1st, 2023. We need a motion and a second, please.
I'll make the motion.
And a second?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. And our correspondence from Kathleen, please.
I have a copy of the resolution for National Police Week 2023, Supervisor's Report for April, resignation from Anna Versino effective May 16th, Police Department report for April, the Orange County mortgage tax receipts for April, and a letter from New York State Ag and Markets with regard to the municipal shelter inspection report. It was completed and satisfactory.
All right,
And that's
thank
all
you.
that I have.
Thank you, Kathleen. We'll move on to our committee reports from our board members. I'll start with Amanda, please.
There's a planning board meeting this Wednesday, May 17th at 7 o'clock. And Chris and I have been conducting some interviews for counselors for camp, and it's going well so far. That's all I have.
All right, thank you, Amanda. And Chris?
I have a few things. Yes, summer rec. Thank you, Amanda. We've been doing a lot of interviews. We have a few more to do, but looking good. I wanted to remind everybody that tomorrow is the school budget vote. If you didn't get something in the mail, it looks like this, you can go on to Menacing Valley Central School District's Facebook page. There's a copy of it there. Also on our website. It's from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. tomorrow. Summer concert series we have posted on our website along with the village. Brian, with the mayor, has been nice enough, he set them all up as a an event. So if you want, make sure you don't forget to go to one of the concerts. They start on July 4th, they'll run through August 22nd. And you can just like that event, and that'll remind you if you're on social media that when that is. The other thing I have is coming up on Saturday, May 20th. There's a prostate cancer walk over at the Otisville Veterans Memorial Park, and that is from 9:30 to 3. And they're gonna have some live band and entertainment there as well. A lot of things going on. The Mount Hope Chinese Association is having a Dragon Boat Festival to celebrate their Asian heritage. That's from 11 a.m. to 6:30 on Sunday, June 18th, and that will be at the Mount Hope Town Park. And all these things I put up on the town Facebook page, so you can look for them there as well. The last thing, which is a really important thing and exciting thing, we have the county, Orange County Clerk Kelly Askew has a mobile DMV unit now going from different towns. And between Brian and Matt, they've got it arranged. The first one is going to be on Friday, May 26th, right, Brian? And that will be from 10 to 3:30. So if you have any transactions like a registration, or you need to get your license renewed, or if you need any kind of transactions that you would do at DMV, they will be able to do that for you there. So that will be at Village Hall in Otisville at 66 Highland Ave. And from my understanding, we're going to try to do it every month. Is that correct?
Correct. The county clerk's office has set up a rotating schedule between the village and the town. So every other month would be at the town hall, and then the opposite month would be at the village hall. So we've got the May appointment at the village, we've got a June booking here for a town hall, and then would alternate back and forth.
So I didn't want to get too many people confused, so I put the one on our Facebook as long as what Brian has on the village for the May 26th. When this is over, I'll put the next one up, and so that this way it doesn't get confusing when they're coming. But I do want to mention I'm very thankful about that. And I think it's gonna be great, especially if you don't feel like going into Middletown or going to, you know, any other DMV, you got it right here in town, so. Let's see, sorry. Chairs, okay. So the seniors needed some more chairs. I did bring them up to the senior center. And then I brought some chairs in the back from the rec center, because we have a little bit more in the rec center than we need versus tables. So, I'm looking into different areas with chairs, cause chairs, some of them are like $4 for $300 and some of them are $35 a piece. So I'm gonna try to do a little bit more and we'll look to get some, I'd like to get something that matches these.
How is that gonna work for the rentals though? Is there still gonna be enough for 100 people at the youth center?
Oh, there's more than enough.
Okay.
Yeah, these were extra. We bought too many chairs
Okay. Just
than the
wanted to be
tables that
sure.
we have, so there's probably another 30, 40 chairs up there.
Okay.
So, and if it did happen to be a problem that somebody needed more chairs, we can always grab them. Yeah, so I'll be looking into that. Summer rec, I know you're gonna talk about, but to back on what Amanda was saying, we have what I feel is a pretty outstanding person that's gonna be our director. And I think our assistant director, we've had a lot of good quality candidates come in for interviews. So I think we're gonna have a good group of people here. The last thing I wanna talk about, and I can't believe I gotta sit here and talk about it, but, as you all know, illegal immigrants were brought into Newburgh, and Steve Newhouse has been very, open and honest with everything that's going on with it. I find it very disgusting that homeless vets were thrown out on the street. I just have no words for it, and I think that as things go on, it's only gonna get worse. They were blatantly lied to, that they would be coming or not. And I think that there's people that wanna come to this country, that I believe that will, you know, through the right process would be okay, but they have not been vetted. We have no idea what the backgrounds are. We don't know what countries they're from. I think it was the other day, they just got terrorists from Afghanistan in San Diego on the number one wanted list. He's here. So I'm disgusted by it. There's a lot of people on it. I think we might have to make some decisions, because I heard some stuff today. We'll talk about that. But it just doesn't sit right. It just doesn't sit right. And I think that's all I have.
Just to follow up on that, Chris, Police Chief Mike Maresca has been staying connected through the county and with other law enforcement offices on the updates since the buses did come into the town of Newburgh last week. So we are aware, the county is working with the local municipalities and other agencies just to keep everybody informed and to make sure everybody, we're doing what we can to keep everybody safe here locally. So we are definitely that's on the radar with everybody here. So thank you, Chris, and move on to Jim, please.
Okay, Village. Village had 15 fire calls for April. Next meeting, Audit New York will be attending the meeting to present to Village Board. The bridge work, since the project has been delayed, they had to rebid the project again. So that was just brought back in the bids for that. So hopefully they can start working on the access road by the end of May, I think it was. And they said they should have the project done by June 2023, hopefully. We'll see. And then the last thing I have is we're going to be having a public hearing on the fireman's tax exemption at 7 p.m. on May 18th at the next village meet. And just to add on to the DMV, anybody in Orange County can come to that. Just, you don't have to be a Mount Hope resident to attend that. And that's all I have.
All right, thank you, Jim. A couple items I'm gonna cover. Chris mentioned the school budget vote, which is tomorrow. School budget and Board of Ed members, elections are up there. This Saturday, the 20th, at the town park, the Otisville Elementary PTO is sponsoring a fundraising event called the Fun Run. I'd say we're kind of a partner in that by donating the use of the pavilion in the park free of charge to the PTO so they can raise as much money for their causes to help the kids out within the school. So that's coming up this Saturday. Also, this Saturday is Armed Forces Day, so we want to thank everybody that is currently active in the armed services across the country and across the world, wherever they may be stationed. Coming up on Monday the 29th is Memorial Day, so I've not seen any local times with the services, but normally they're at 11 or 11:30 at the Village Memorial, Veterans Memorial Park. We get any notice from them with specifics, we'll get it online, and our next town board meeting will be relocated to the senior center on Baker Street for the police awards as part of that meeting, so this way we got a little bit of a bigger venue to handle that. And the Highland Avenue Bridge, which Jim had made mention of, quite a few conversations with the mayor. Dean and I have been talking on if we have any way we can assist the village, the county, the contractors, the whole process with the bridge. The mayor's goal is to keep downtown as much open as possible. I think the village board as a whole, I think the village as a whole wants to see everything stay smooth and running during the construction phase. So what we'll do is Dean and I can get with the contractor if they have a need to store some kind of equipment, machinery, anything that doesn't congest the downtown area. So if we can help out by loaning the parking lot space out back, we've got a nice area. Dean can set aside for them, so we've been working. I know the mayor's had some scheduled dates with things, the contracting company, so as we move forward with the project, with the county, the contractor, and the village, if we can help out, we can do our best to loan a hand with that. And that is it. Dean is not with us this evening, had no items from him. Again, Police Chief Mike is not here. The only item Mike had is he's getting ready to disperse the speed trailers throughout the town. Anybody that has a request for a location of the trailer, please email the police chief. That's Chief Maresca at mounthopepolice.com. You can find that on the website, or you can call up to the station and leave a message for him to get it out. They've got one out now just to try it out, make sure everything's working good with it, and then he's going to start the rotation with getting all the equipment out on the street. And we'll move on to the village report from Mr. Mayor.
Thanks, Chris, for hitting everything I was gonna talk about. Except, Otisville Fire Company, they're doing a kickoff this summer, food and vendor event. It's gonna be, June 3rd, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. and the 4th up at the firehouse, so I know you shared the event, but, thank you for that, but also repost it between now and then. To Jim and to, the supervisor here, I did have a meeting with the new contractor, so things have come a little bit forward. I had a meeting on Friday up at the firehouse. Actually, the village board doesn't know this yet, but obviously Diane's gonna hear this part, but the DPW was there and also the fire department was there. One of the things that I had talked to the contractor earlier in the week, they were looking to stage 2 40-foot trailers, which was concerning because their thought was they could put them somewhere in the downtown area, which I don't know how we're gonna have 80 feet with the trailers. So I talked to the fire chief and the DPW, and we kind of came up with an area behind the firehouse that would not interfere with the pole barn that they're gonna put up here in the future. But things kind of have changed since there. The contractor, when he left us, was actually gonna go talk to the owner of the old chiropractic shop in town next to Mix. And they are interested in renting that out for offices. So if they rent that out for offices, that would be the county, the engineer, and all of them in that office, which we wouldn't have to worry about the trailers. I did bring up to the contractor, because his main concern is staging pieces of this bridge. So we've talked about a couple places. We talked about behind the firehouse, as long as it's out of the way. I did bring up town hall, which the next meeting will actually be the boss that's coming, which I'll let you know, Matt, and you're more than welcome to be in that meeting too. And I also told him about the county, has a place out past the school, which they could stage some stuff out there, since this is a county project. His concern now is equipment, where he's gonna put it, I guess. So that's that will be the next conversation we're gonna have. But just a couple updates as far as what's gonna happen. June 1st, between June 1st and the 15th is their plans to work on that access road. That's so far what they're talking about. They're gonna get that done. Hopefully by July 1st, they will close the bridge, again, pending until all this stuff kind of falls into place. But once the bridge is closed, obviously the access road would be open fully, and then the plan is 10 months. So this project, they have signed a contract that will be 10 months long. So if it lasts 10 months and 1 day, the contractor starts paying back money, obviously, for being here longer. So their plan is to get in as quickly as they can and clearly get that bridge down before the winter months, and hopefully start, I guess as he kind of explained, I kind of said like Lego blocks is how they're gonna build this, but it's, a little bit bigger than that. I guess some of these pieces are fairly large, so. That's my update on it, so as soon as I hear more, as soon as I get another date as far as for a meeting, you're more than welcome to come. We'll go from there. Thanks.
Thank you. All right, we're gonna move on to our new business. First item we had for the approval for the directors of summer camp. We've got 3 directors, Melissa Benjamin, head director, Kayla, is it Miller?
Yep.
Miller Smith, get the right name, and the health director or medical director would be Antoinette Capola. As Chris had mentioned, the counselors, we are gonna finish the interviews this week to complete the slate for the counselors and then open registration during the week. All the forms have been updated, we're ready to get them online, so as soon as the website company gets them online, which should be tomorrow, we'll be able to start accepting the youth, the camper registrations coming in. It is Miller, so it's Kayla Miller. So those would be the 3 directors we'd be looking to hire for the summer camp. So we need approval to hire Melissa Benjamin, Kayla Miller, and Antoinette Capola as the 3 adult directors for the 2023 youth summer camp. We get a motion in a second, please.
Question
Sure.
before we do this. Their background checks have been completed by the county,
That's all been submitted, that's in process. Correct.
and if we approve this and it does not come back appropriate,
Then we'll find,
Based on,
just wanna-
correct, yes, based on that, so, correct, that's all in process. The county did approve the application for the camp, and they're going through the adult director process now. Once we get the youth counselor, those will also be entered and sent down to the county, and they'll go through the background check as well.
Okay.
So once that entire, once we get through the last session, the 5th interview session, then a complete list of hires will go to the county for that as well.
Okay.
But the directors have already been sent in 2 weeks ago, thereabouts.
Alright, I just wanna make sure if one comes back inappropriate, do we have enough time to find a second director?
Yes.
Okay.
oh,
I'm not saying that
Yeah,
either.
no,
will.
no,
I'm
but
just-
it's good.
It's good to be
Okay,
Yeah.
proactive, so,
alright,
yes.
okay.
Any other questions or
No, I'll make the motion.
comments? Okay, and a second?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Kathleen, would you please read us the Police Week resolution for 2023?
Sure. To recognize National Police Week 2023 and to honor the service and sacrifice of those law enforcement officers killed in the line of duty while protecting our communities and safeguarding our democracy. Whereas there are more than 800,000 law enforcement officers serving in communities across the United States, including the dedicated members of the Town Mount Hope Police Department. Whereas since the first recorded death in 1786, more than 23,000 law enforcement officers in the United States have made the ultimate sacrifice and been killed in the line of duty. Whereas the names of these dedicated public servants are engraved on the walls of the National Law Enforcement Officers Memorial in Washington, D.C. Whereas 556 new names of fallen heroes are being added to the National Law Enforcement Officers Memorial this spring, including 246 officers killed in 2022 and 147 officers killed in previous years. Whereas the service and sacrifice of all officers killed in the line of duty will be honored during the National Law Enforcement Officers Memorial Fund's 35th Candlelight Vigil on the evening of May 13, 2023. Whereas the Candlelight Vigil is part of the National Police Week, which will be observed this year, May 14th through the 20th. whereas May 15th is designated as Peace Officers Memorial Day in honor of all fallen officers and their families, and U.S. flags should be flown at half-staff. Therefore, be it resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Mount Hope will observe May 14th through the 20th, 2023 as National Police Week in the Town of Mount Hope, and publicly salutes the service of law enforcement officers in our community and in communities across the nation.
All right, thank you, Kathleen. Do we have a motion and a second to approve the Police Week 2023 resolution as written and read, please?
I'll make the motion.
And a second?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you again, Kathleen. Next item is our supervisor's report for April of 2023. We need a motion and a second to adopt the report as written.
I make the motion.
And a second?
I'll second the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Two of the drafts we had, Amanda, we talked about the social media policy for the employee handbook at our last meeting.
Mhm.
We had a policy and a local law example come in from David's office. Do you want to have any discussion on the two? My preference would be, Bill, a question for you. The proposed example David provided was a local law. Would we be able to use that same format but adopt it as a policy for the handbook as opposed to a local law?
If you choose to do so, yes.
Okay. So, other than just making the modification as to the titling and some of the specifics that close the end of it regarding the local law, that would just be the only modification we would need. Does anybody else have any comments or discussion?
I just can't remember the law. I don't want to say yeah, yes.
Those are the two. The policy is the multi-page and the local law is the single page. Do you have anything you want to add, or?
Not specifically, just, does it state on and off hours? It does. And that's for the local law one. I just wanna make sure I'm not getting it confused. The local law does state on and off, okay.
Say if you want to have it. Pass it to you.
It's fine.
Bill, just one other question for you.
Yes.
Does the board need to designate, or appoint people or a person to, like, be the authorized agent on behalf of the town to put advertisements online or on social media or the website, or no? Do we have to assign one or multiple people to do it, or not necessarily?
What are you doing now?
Well, currently, so the police department, Mike, the chief, takes care of anything that needs to be posted. And for the town, the rest of the town, Christopher or myself would take care of it.
I think it's up to the town board as to what you want to do with regard to that. You keep that, or you can designate an individual to be the person to do that. But if you're satisfied with the way things are working now, you can continue that.
Continue as is. Okay. Is everybody all right with the current means of administering the information online?
I do have access to this page as well.
Okay.
So you're right.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. That's fine.
The single page was the local law, which we could convert to a policy.
this be sent to the town employees in the
Yes.
next paycheck?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, once the modifications are made, so what we'll do is pending the modifications from the local law example
Mhm.
to an employee handbook policy example, we'll adopt the governance of social media policy for entrance into the employee handbook. Should we read the policy, Bill? Would that be, or enter it into the minutes as a written document?
Either way, has it been generally available
To the board?
and to the public?
Um,
Well, this is policy with regard to
Employees.
employees, yeah. Has it been available to the employees?
It would have been on request. These are just drafts that
Okay.
David prepared for us as we were
Yeah.
looking to kind of get up with the times, if you would.
I'm not sure it's necessary for you to read it at this point in time. It's available,
Okay.
and that's it.
Okay. So pending the updates, the conversion, as we mentioned, from the local law to the employee handbook policy, we'll adopt the policy governing use of social media for town employees, pending the required updates as stated by the board members. We need a motion and a second to adopt the policy as written.
I'll make a motion.
And a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. So we'll work on that. Okay, next item, we have a letter of resignation from Police Department Sergeant Anna Brasino, effective, the date, May the 16th, 2023. Need a motion and a second to accept the resignation as written.
Make the motion.
And a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And we wish Anna good luck with her next location. Next item, authorization to pay the bills for abstracts number 18 and 19.
I'll make the motion.
And a second?
Second.
I'm gonna say yes, but I'm gonna abstain from 8.1010.4.
That's the fund code. You want the right numbers?
207.
207.
207.
What's the abstract
And,
number?
I think it's 18.
And what's
It's
the
for,
back?
and I'm abstaining because it was a reimbursement for a towns association.
All right, what was the voucher number?
207.
207.
Okay,
And I believe that was 18, Kathleen, because that was the prior weeks.
So it was 18.
okay, thank you.
You're welcome. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Next item, got in over the weekend from the Highway Department Union. Topic we had discussed amongst the board will be a memorandum of understanding for an amendment to their contract. It reads, this memorandum of understanding entered into between the town of Mount Hope and local Teamsters 445 sets forth the parties' understanding of the respective duties and obligations concerning the compensation of the members of the bargaining unit to supplement the current contract. The parties to this memorandum of understanding hereby agree to as follows. Under no circumstance shall any employee with over 20 years of service in the highway department have a rate of pay less than any other employee with fewer years of service. In the event the terms of the current contract require an employee with fewer years of service to be paid at a rate greater than the employee with over 20 years of service, the rate of pay for the employee with over 20 years of service shall automatically be adjusted to the match the highest rate of pay for any other employee. The parties agree that this memorandum of understanding shall be in effect throughout the term of the existing contract between the parties. Upon the expiration of the contract, this memorandum shall expire also. Got to enter the date and need authorization to sign that. I'm going to ask that the board authorize Mr. Furman, the deputy supervisor, to sign that. And I'm going to ask for a motion and second to adopt the memorandum as written.
I'll make the motion.
And a second?
Second.
I am going to abstain. I have a relative, my brother works in that department, so I'm going to abstain and ask Mr. Furman to sign the document. So we need everybody to vote, anybody in favor of the adopting the memorandum.
Yes.
Okay, and I abstain, so 3. If you would, sir, we'll enter the date of that. That was already adopted by the union representative. They sent that over. Like I said, late on Friday. That was adopted. And that takes care of new business. And old business, as mentioned, the summer rec registration, as soon as we get the documents online with the website company, will be open. We do need anybody that wishes to send a child to the program to get enrolled and get in. We do need the completed application with payment in order to get on the roster and be in the program. We won't be able to take the uncompleted form. They can be signed in during business hours here at the town hall, Monday through Friday, 8 to 4, and we are going to schedule, we will get it on the notification online, 2 evening registration dates, so this way if you can't make it here during working hours, we will have evening hours available to register your campers. At this time, we'll move on to public comment. Diane, please.
Just 2 very quick things. Was notified today, the Community Advisory Board meeting that was scheduled for June has been canceled. They did not tell me why, but obviously something came up. We're hoping to get it scheduled for July, which is actually better because that's would put us back on the right cycle. So as soon as I know anything more about that, I'll let everyone know. I already did notify the board members. And just a reminder, Saturday the 27th, the seniors have a trip. So we will be parked here on the weekend. And since Mike's not here tonight, I'll shoot him a quick email to remind him so they don't wonder what all these cars are doing here. That's it.
Thanks, Diane.
Diane, all the events up at the senior center for the seniors, also I put them on the one bulletin board there, so if they're interested or whatever, the whole flyer's on the board up there
Okay.
for them, okay?
Very good, thanks.
You're welcome.
Mary Beth?
Mary Beth Hersepa, Village of Edison. 2 things. Number 1, I belong to the Ladies Auxiliary for the Pocatello Mount Hope Fire Department. We are selling motto calendars. They're $5 a piece. I will have them through the end of June. Number 2, Saturday the 20th from 12 to 3:30, the Pocatello Ladies Auxiliary is hosting a Tricky Tray. It's a $10 admission. You get 3 cards. Get there early because we only have space for about 80 people. And again, it's $10. You can get in touch with me or through Facebook if you have my phone number. I have something on my Facebook page as to who to contact. But the sooner you get money in or the earlier you get there on Saturday the 12th, the 20th, the better chance you have of getting in.
And what is the location of the event?
It's at Pocatello Firehouse.
At the fire station?
At the firehouse,
Okay.
yes, it's in the fire hall.
Thank you very much. Anybody else for public comment? Doug?
Doug Tripkin, Hidden Valley. Hope this isn't a problem that I'm bringing it up, but I feel obligated to show my disappointment. I've lived in my house for 40 years, had numerous problems with the water going over the road. When the town ended up made larger sewer drains in other parts of the development, except by me, it went over the road numerous times. I went over there, cleaned out the drains all these years. When there was holes there, I called the town because it was a danger that the road was starting to get undermined. The town was very good. David Budd, Dean, very good coming and filling up the hole and prevent that, or the cops would come and stop the flooding. This went on for years. I kept going about 2 or 3 years ago when we had the hurricane. The tropical winds that we had were ridiculous. Never had a problem in my backyard, other than the water coming up and flooding half of my backyard, going over the road and everything else. The town, I kept saying about maybe with Dean, trying to make one of those big cement openings for the sewer instead of just having those two drains that it just can't handle. Six drains going into just the two that I have by my house. Dean said he would look into it. There were grants and all that at the time possible. Well, that never happened. However, he said he'd come and they'd try to clear out some of the brush because people further up the line throw their grass cuttings or they throw their branches in, Christmas trees, kids throw things in. I'd have to go into the sewer to get these things out on numerous times, and even the town ended up did it. They came about 3 months before, I think around December, and cleaned out the entire area behind my fence. They wiped it clean. I lost all my privacy, but if that would end up help with the problem, I didn't mind it. The problem was they brought in either a backhoe or something, some heavy machinery had tire marks that were almost a foot deep where the wheels were, and made it really soft in that area. And of course, doing it in December, we had beautiful weather yet. It just softened the ground to an unreal kind of situation. They took trees out as well as all the brush. Never had a problem before. Almost 40 years. In March, I leave my house to go help my parents in Florida. I left on March 8th. I guess it was March 10th or so, or 11th. You had a snowstorm. I had seen this pine tree, the one pine tree they left, that looked like it leaned a little bit when they had cleaned out the entire area. And they also knew that the ground was already softened because they brought a load of stone to try to get this machinery that they had in. Well, I guess when I was gone, my neighbors, who can end up, if the town lawyer and everyone else wanted to have a fact of how bad they wiped everything out, they softened that ground so bad, that pine tree fell and broke my fence and caused damage that I have to now repair. I was told, well, as you say, okay, it's an act of God, the weather and things, but who caused the problem of softening the ground to that point that I went through years of floods that were halfway across my lawn? My neighbor next door, it was right up to his house, and everybody in Hidden Valley, when we had that bad hurricane and had flooding galore and used the help of the town to try to take care of it. So this wasn't just, something that was God doing it. For 3 months after it, for that to happen, and I called Ketchum Fencing just to ask how much it would cost, because it would most likely be, and I was told by Dean, well, you have to take care of it yourself. Use your insurance. Well, I have a deductible. So that means it comes out of my pocket for something that was done by the town, of which I appreciate them doing a good job, but they made it so soft back there, they caused the problem of that pine tree falling, and I don't know if it was all over the town here, if they had that problem that I had. But I saw that after they had cleaned the entire area there, and if you came to see what it looks like right now, my house, you would say there's nothing there. It's they even had it when they came to get that tree off the fence, had to get more stone and spread it out that it's almost a third of the back on the other side of the fence. So they created a problem, and even though I'm sorry to say I hear that it's an act of God, it was caused over all that time by the town cleaning that out. And if it's only a few $100s, I don't see why the town who ended up did that while I was in Florida taking care of my parents. My neighbors had to call me and send me pictures. I have pictures of right after it happened, pictures when I came home, and unfortunately I lost my previous phone that had all my pictures. It's somewhere in the cloud, wherever that cloud is. So you could have seen what it looked like before. But I do have neighbors that will end up saying, they were surprised how the town went right up to the fence, almost up to the fence of my house, but they left this one pine. Meanwhile, they took out other trees and dug out roots and things like that, so, I'm just expressing my frustration that, it's not going to be taken care of by the town. I've been, very active in the town in the past. I've been occupied with other things, personal matters now, but I'm disappointed, and I didn't get to state my case other than to Matt, which I would appreciate, and to Dean, and I appreciate that you got back to me. However, I still feel that the problem resulted from the town wiping out all that, and like I said, and you know that we've had some really bad hurricanes and everything else. That pine tree, which has shallow roots, fell because of the damage that was done by bringing that heavy equipment through that area. Thank you. And I'm sorry to be nervous when I talk, but
You're fine.
That's all right.
You're fine.
Any other public comments at this time? Move on to board comments. We'll start with Jim.
Just one thing I forgot to, I left off my, we're working on the, networking still, running the wires for the, have it all hardwired. Chris met with, the company last week, and hopefully we'll get a couple more in, by next meeting, hopefully have all the bids in for that. And nothing else to report.
All right, thank you, Jim. Chris?
There was actually two things I forgot. One is the pancake breakfast the Otisville Fire Company put on yesterday, did a great job. It's nice to keep tradition, and I'm glad that they're able to continue doing it. So, you know, my wife enjoyed it. And the other thing is, I'm gonna post it on our Facebook. I don't have the date in front of me, but the Historical Society is having something in June,
The first Sunday in
June
June, I
fourth.
think the
First Sunday in
fourth.
June.
1, 2, 3, the fourth,
4th.
yeah.
So I'll put that on our Facebook page with that, but I forgot to announce that. That's all I have.
And Amanda?
Chris had rentals this weekend, but he had an issue with one rental with the heat was still on. I know the company has to come in and switch it over, but it seems like it's a thing that we have to do every year. Is this something that we can handle on our own instead of having to call a company every season?
I would have to check, see if your dean would have an answer on if it's something one of his guys or a couple of his guys would be able to do. It's not just like changing the thermostat, they drain some of the water out of a certain section of the heating unit, so when the air conditioning's on, it doesn't freeze and break. I don't know the specifics of what portions get drained and what gets left turned on. Then there's if you were the control side, which actually turns the air conditioning on, that has to be activated, so this way if somebody turns on the air conditioning when the water's in there, accidentally it doesn't break, so there's kind of a two-part to that.
Right, I'm just seeing if it's something that the town can handle on its own rather than calling and scheduling your appointment with another company in case it's a couple weeks out, just so our rentals aren't baking.
Yeah, I think it's still decent there, but I think, now this week, we're supposed to get a couple nights, I think it's gonna be in the 30s, so.
Yeah,
it's,
just, I mean, look at April, we had 80-degree weather.
Yeah.
Just if it's something that we could go in and do ourselves just for
Right.
the day, and if we need to switch back, I was just
Yeah,
concerned.
I can check with him tomorrow and see if it's something someone in the shop is capable of doing, so
Alright, that was all.
definitely worth the inquiry. Okay. A couple items I just want to address, pertaining to possible or potential conflicts of interest. Chris and Amanda had attended a Association of Towns meeting and had the information distributed at that meeting, which they had shared with myself, and I think Jim might have gotten a copy as well. So just to kind of go and be within compliance of the potential, I work for a business, AC Howell, if you don't know. They've been contracted since 2010, I believe, under Supervisor Novak at the time to supply propane to the town. Since I've been the supervisor, we've had the vouchers when they're submitted, have been dual signed or signed by the deputy supervisor at the time, but also an additional measure just to protect the town, the checks would also be signed by the deputy supervisor. So just another item to further, give the town a little more protection on that. Also, since we're on same field here, as I mentioned earlier, my brother works in the highway department. He was hired before I was on the town board. Supervisor Novak, didn't serve under him, so that, again, he was hired as an employee prior to my election here. My father serves on the planning board, over 20 years of that. Again, that was maybe even before Supervisor Novak. So just to let everybody know that those items should be disclosed, so I'm publicly disclosing them. And that's about all I have for this evening on those. And we need a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion.
And a second.
I'll second the motion.
All in favor?
All right.
All right. These are tomorrow's items.
You were even more purple than usual.
Express that.
67.
Good for you.
And then